Who.
Hello.
Here's Alesio. Wurzalazom is Terzo Twerzo. Wurzach. Wurzo is Dizoktizo. Wurzo. Pazorga. Zorst. Ism. Merzak.
And I'm Sarah.
Yep, and welcome to Watch Who, the Doctor Who podcast. I was doing Carnival speak, like, what's his name?
Oh, okay.
That was, hello, welcome to Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. My name's Mark, in Carnival speak.
I did really well to guess, and I'm Sarah at the end of that.
Well done. Yes, and Sarah's watching this for the very first time.
Very first time.
Yep, and I'm a Doctor Who fan. And yes, we are going straight in. We're going straight in to Carnival of Monsters this week. No, there's a website where you can translate it into Carnival speak. Do you remember with...
I don't remember the Carnival speech.
Oh, okay, well, those of you that know Carnival of Monsters will know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I did watch it.
Well, we'll get to it. Okay, well, there we go.
Maybe
There's
it'll come back to me when we talk
intro.
about it.
Well, welcome, everybody. You join us here. We're in the miniscope. We're trapped, aren't we?
Fair.
We're trapped with all the circuitry all around us.
Like animals in a zoo.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're continuing season 10. We had the 3 Doctors last week, which was really good. I meant to say to you the other week, not relevant at all, but at work, right? Someone was making me a cup of tea.
Okay.
Right? You know, we make each other cups of tea.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
tea
allowed.
and coffee. So we'd run out of tea, right?
You've got a tea.
We'd run out of tea, I know. I said, go and steal the tea from the church. Okay, they've got loads of tea. Take their supplies.
Yeah.
And then he brought me a tea, and it was very nice. And I was like, oh, okay, this tastes a little bit stronger than usual. What is this? And then I went into the kitchen, and I noticed next to the kettle, he had not used the church's tea. He had opened a fresh box of Earl Grey and put milk in it. Regular listeners will know that I do not like Earl Grey, but he'd opened Earl Grey and put milk. But actually, it was all right. It was nice. It was a bit smoky.
It's not that you don't like Earl Grey the tea. It's that you're completely.
I don't want to be associated.
You don't want to be associated with Earl Grey at all.
Yeah. So I was surprised when I saw it. But
were you angry?
No, I wasn't angry. I was just like,
fucking Earl Grey like you did last time.
I would never put milk in Earl Grey, but actually, it was all right. It was just like a strong, smoky tea. So Earl Grey was forced upon me. So, yeah, I just wanted to tell you that. There you go.
I appreciated hearing that. I appreciated it.
That's the only update I've got. So, Carnival of Monsters.
We haven't COVID updated in a while.
Okay, let's do that.
Well, we just haven't. And, we're recording, it's pre-Christmas now when we're recording.
Yeah, so by this will go out beginning of January. So who knows? Who knows?
We're recording, and in Wales, they've announced the things coming in from the 27th. But, I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday and we were saying this time last year, the 19th of December, we were in a lockdown in Wales. You know, right now, until it's announced, we're here in person doing it.
What were we doing a year ago? Were we doing like the smugglers or the...
Oh, God, that's not a clue, love.
Like, that just seems ages ago.
It was a year ago.
Yeah.
That's why it feels like ages ago. Hate to break that to you. That's how time works. What's happened in that?
So who knows? We could be doing whatever story next week and there's another announcement about something else or another variant.
But currently we're still together.
Yeah.
Recording right now together.
Yeah, but we'll see. But we're on and off, aren't we?
I mean, in theory, we're definitely 2 meters apart because that's the new rule. We don't know if bubbles are going to come in again. We were a bubble last time,
God.
so there is talk that there will.
Well,
so
at least we got lots of Doctor Who to watch.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But to everyone out there, if we are in a lockdown, hope everyone's doing okay.
Yeah, watch Carnival of Monsters.
Or don't have. But I hope everyone's mentally okay because, it's a lot. If we are.
Yeah.
If you're listening to us now and you know that they are talking about firebreakers and stuff again, so.
Perfect time to watch 3 Doctors. Carnival of Monsters.
Wow, Mark. I'm trying to be really uplifting here.
I am being uplifting. Watch the 3 Doctors.
Okay. What, one that you moaned about?
I didn't. Well, no. Okay. Anyway, right. So we have watched this separately.
Yes.
We haven't actually watched together for a while because of scheduling.
Yeah.
So it's quite good though, actually, because I just don't know what you're thinking at all
No.
for these.
I like coming in like poker face as well.
Yeah,
because you have no idea.
No idea. And this one for me is a bit of a not one that I would go to really. It's it's highly regarded, but it's just one that I always found a bit boring. And I only first saw it when I had the DVD, and it just didn't. It's not one that I would go to.
Fair.
But I can, going through it now, I can see there are good things about it. It's very different to actually what we've had before for a Third Doctor story, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. This feels very old Doctor, traditional Doctor Who in a way, doesn't it?
Because we're going now out into space. So last week he got his chameleon circuit. Not chameleon circuit, sorry.
Just say that again.
Last week he got his freedom from the Time Lords.
Yeah.
So we are going back out into space, which we haven't really had since the end of the second Doctor with your Adventure of the Week out in space.
No.
So but
it also had some
nice.
like historical stuff.
It's a good mix of stuff.
It was a really good mix.
Yeah. So I think we should just go straight through and just see. And you can let me know what you think as you go through.
Sure.
So actually this is written by, we don't talk about the writers very much, written by Robert Holmes. He wrote Spear from Space, the Third Doctor's first story.
Oh, okay.
He wrote The Crotons, which you surprisingly liked. So, he's a good writer. It doesn't start off in the best way. So you're at the space airport, I've called it, with the grey people.
Yeah.
Now this is why I think I found it boring when I first watched it. It doesn't grab you straight away. Those grey people are terrible.
Oh, I didn't think they were terrible. I didn't understand to begin with, because it doesn't really come up until like the second episode. I couldn't understand why suddenly one of them was acting out and then got like killed.
Yeah, no, that grey person, he goes up there and gets shot, and I'm like, I had no idea what that was about.
Well, they said later on it's because they're acting out.
Yeah, but what? Yeah,
because entertainment is banned, amusement, and so the leader grey person is like, that's why he's brought these guys in to try and provide something stimulus, so hopefully that they don't rebel, and so that's obviously what was happening. He was rebelling.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Mark, it's another one where
I can't believe you're explaining this.
I know.
I don't know. I've just it's never grabbed me that.
It's only later on when they were talking about like why that happened.
Yeah.
Like why they've allowed them to come. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to go too negative straight away, but those
little negative Nancy over there.
I know, I can't help it, but it's just those masks of those sort of
they remind me of Bok.
They're terrible. They are terrible.
Why did they remind me of Bok?
Because Bok was grey. And they're grey.
Yeah, and Bok had a mask on, didn't he?
I think this is the problem, though, when you go out into space. You go a bit 60s where, everyone has to look. They're all sort of that uniform and that. It's not particularly creative for me. I think that's what it is. But I know that and now, especially now you're in colour, and nothing seems to have changed production-wise since the 60s. You could watch that in black and white, and that was the censorites.
This
do you know
definitely,
what I mean? From like 10
this
years
story,
ago.
yeah.
That's all it is. Just like there's so many other good elements of this story, but I'm just talking about the grey people on that planet just disappoint me. Oh, I can't believe I'm so negative. Anyway. But then we get Vorg and Sherna. So they arrive at the airport. Oh, come on. Now, this is where these are great characters. They're great double acts.
I said
and their
to you,
costumes.
he looked like he was like playing Willy Wonka.
We put on a show. You understand?
No. Yeah, so they're supposed to be your sort of your showman type, travelling circus type people.
What's
Great
it called?
show.
No. Paul Daniels?
Paul Daniels. Paul Daniels and Debbie McGee.
Yeah.
Oh my God, can I tell you a Paul Daniels story?
Absolutely.
So, / link to Neighbours. So, this was ages and ages ago. So there's Paul Robinson is a character in Neighbours, okay?
Yeah.
And obviously you got Paul Daniels. And I was talking to a friend, this was way, way back, years and years ago, and she knew someone who was Paul Daniels' #1 fan, like loved Paul Daniels, like and everything about him and everything he'd done. Except they were having a conversation and the wires got crossed because they were talking about Paul Robinson in Neighbours, who fell off a cliff and had his leg amputated. But then that person thought they were talking about Paul Daniels and got really upset and thought Paul Daniels has had his leg amputated.
Oh my gosh.
But it was fine. And also, at work,
Right.
a couple of years ago, well, years and years ago, I got an email saying, do you want to book Paul Daniels?
I remember that. I remember that.
And but I went in, I got the email, I went in the office and I was like, oh my God, let's book Paul Daniels. And nobody knew who he was.
I remember that email.
Nobody knew who Paul Daniels was. And I was like, come on, you know who Paul Daniels is. Paul Daniels is a magician, everybody, if you don't know.
And that's the time where we're like, yeah. I remember that email.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't in.
And he lived in Buckinghamshire, near where I went to uni. And someone in my did their video production project. They went to his house and did a little interview with him.
Nice.
It's Paul Daniels, anyway.
That's a lot on Paul Daniels.
Yeah, there we go. When are we ever going to get another chance to talk about Paul
that
Daniels?
story, though, reminds me, and I've told this for like 3 times recently. Do you remember on Big Brother?
Yeah.
Right? But Celebrity Big Brother.
Okay.
When David Bowie's Angie Bowie was in.
Yes. Oh my
And
God.
David's dead.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's the
David's
best.
dead!
I didn't watch that series, but I've watched that clip online a lot.
David's dead. No, he's not.
Yes.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
So that story.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
like
just
that.
told
Yeah,
me
it's like
reminded
Paul Daniels has had his leg amputated. No.
Yeah. Well, David's dead. There's a dead man. Brilliant.
Anyway, yeah. So, that's these characters. So we've got.
If I just randomly laugh, it's because I'm thinking of that.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Well, let's call them Paul and Debbie for the rest of
Great.
this. Okay.
I'm up for that. Paul and Debbie.
That's who they are. They're travelling around with this miniscope.
Yeah. Because to begin with, he reminded me of Willy Wonka, but then he did become Paul and Debbie.
So what do you think of Close Watch, their outfits?
Oh, it's very much like some humans pretending to fit in with the aliens.
Well, actually, just thinking about it, because you've got this grey, they're not supposed to be there. They're these first aliens on the planet, I think.
Yeah.
And they've sort of, I'm not sure if they've stowed away or they're not supposed to be there or.
No, they've
or something.
invited them. They've been invited.
So the contrast between the grey people and then they arrive with their, I mean, that's, it's probably on purpose, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. I really like those outfits. I like his jacket and stuff. I think it's cool. It's different.
It just reminds me of exactly what some Earth thing would wear to go to space. Who is a carny? Who is
I love his hat. His see-through hat. That's cool.
There's so much going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
And then, in contrast, the Doctor and Joe land on a sailing ship. So is that taking you in the story? Are you've got this contrast of...
I really followed this, and
Right.
in fact, I seem to have followed it better than you so far. And I really enjoyed it.
Okay, fine.
And I liked that sort of that mystery of why are we learning about this going on here, and why are they there?
Yeah, so I've written down, you got the Doctor on a ship in 1926. There's a sea monster. There's chickens as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget the chickens.
Don't forget the chickens.
And I put there's lots of elements going on. I was more wanting to follow the Doctor and Joe on the ship and the mystery and the sort of time loop stuff that happens, rather than it kept cutting back to the grey people, talking about this political stuff and the president, which you don't see. And it's very...
The president kept coming.
Well, he wasn't actually there.
He was. He was the third grade person, wasn't he?
No, they were talking about him. These were sort of officials.
So there was 2, and one of them, the president was his brother, and that was the third
What?
one. He talked about my brother.
What?
He said, I'm going to take down... this is how we'll take him down. He's coming with... He was definitely there. There were 3 talking grey people.
Yeah.
Right? There was the 2 main ones that were the sneaky ones. And then there was the third one. He had a bit more... His greyness was a bit broader. And he was the one that was making decisions okay, we'll destroy that. And no, he was... And they were like, oh, but if you do that, then... And he said something like, I'm going to take down my brother. It was his relative.
Okay.
Oh, Mark.
Fine, well...
I mean, I could be
you
wrong.
You really watch these closely.
And I have no notes. Can we just point out, I have no notes, okay?
Yeah, I know. I've written Metal Hexagon. SS Bernice. That's interesting with the ship. And I wasn't sure. I tried to look up, because yes, it's supposed to be like the Mary Celeste. I thought it was a real ship, but I can't find all my Googling that it is a real thing.
I did the same thing.
Did you?
Yeah, I can't
I
find
thought it was.
Yeah, I
but
think
maybe
it's just there's
not.
something they've used for the story.
Then you see these characters and the people on the ship. What do you think about those?
I really
Those guys.
liked that. I enjoyed that. I thought it was a really clever because it completely threw you. I knew that they weren't where the other story was because it was so different. And then once it all starts piecing together, you're like, oh, this is
it's all
interesting.
happening. And you have, as I say, the time loop stuff. And that cliffhanger is great.
With the hand?
Coming down and getting the
I
TARDIS.
loved that.
Because I thought, you love Planet of Giants.
Yeah.
And this has got some Planet of Giants in it. That's why I thought
loved it.
you were going to love those elements.
I really did. I really loved that.
It's got everything, actually, this story. And that reminds me of...
Can I say something really controversial already?
Okay.
I think I enjoyed this more than the Three Doctors.
Wow. Well, they're very different stories. You've got, as I say, you've got a bit of everything in this one. Whereas
got
the
a
Three
bit of
Doctors was
everything.
very samey. Once you'd seen the Quarry and you've seen Unit HQ, you've seen it all.
This one had lots of variety. We had some really interesting monsters. It went to different places, different things. I enjoyed all that. I enjoyed, and also from the start, I kind of knew what the objective was.
Right.
Sometimes in a story, the objectives can change because they're still trying to work things out. Whereas by the end of that first episode, they figured out they were in a loop. They were trapped in this thing. It might have been just started the second episode, but we know that their ultimate objective here is to get out of this thing.
Yeah.
And that's so everything they're going through, they're like, that's the objective. That's where we're aiming for with this story. And that means you can just sit back and enjoy what's happening. Because you're like, well, I'm not waiting. What's that about? What's that about? It's there. It's clear. And it was set up really well. It had that sort of intrigue to it. But then, I thought this was a really strong story.
Wow.
And it was 4. The magic
it was
number.
4. Exactly. You love
The
a
magic
4-parter.
number.
And I was thinking, I wonder why 4 always seems to be the in classic Doctor Who, the go-to number.
Yeah,
It's always 4 is your, you get the 6, but 4 just seems to always be the magic number.
Yeah.
But it's not like 3, beginning, middle and end. It's sort of beginning, middle, a bit of padding, and then the end.
But there wasn't even
Stretch it
much
out.
padding in
but
this.
No, there wasn't actually.
I watched this the whole way through.
Is that
in
one of the first time
sitting.
you've done that?
No,
on your
no.
own?
I don't think
It's
so.
very rare that you sit and watch
Very
4.
rare and watch it. I know, but I did. I started it because I thought I was only going to do 3, and then before I knew it, I was in the 4th one. I was like, well, I'm in it. I was like, hang on, where am I? And I looked, and I was like, it was at part 4, and I was like, oh shit.
Just going back to that cliffhanger with the hand going down with the TARDIS. That reminds me of way back when I worked at the Co-op. This was like 2006.
Cool, we are story central today.
I know it is. Well, we haven't left that for a while. Shout out to Becky, who I worked with at the Co-op. So 2006, Doctor Who was back, and I think her little brother was a big fan.
Right.
And this also sort of ties in with John Pertwee, the third Doctor, being the sort of 90s Doctor. So
Okay.
wherever you were, like when Doctor Who wasn't on, he was still going around. He was appearing. I might have mentioned this. He was on Surprise, Surprise as the Doctor.
Oh.
If anyone's seen that show, Crank Up Your Granny, he'd appear.
Okay.
As the Doctor. I don't know, like Generation Game or so. Whenever there was like a game show or they talked about Doctor Who as a thing, it would really be John Pertwee. And
That's
he did some radio.
interesting.
He really was the 90s Doctor. And he always dressed up in his thing. And he'd always... Because he was sort of... John Pertwee / the Doctor was sort of merged into one by that point.
Yeah.
He's like that personality.
And surprise, surprise, David, here he is, your favourite Time Lord, John Pertwee. Come in, John.
I am the Doctor. And are you ready, Gran?
Yes, Doctor Who.
All right. Well. I've never gone this far back in time before.
Who are you?
I am the Doctor.
Oh, I don't watch GMTV.
No, I'm the Doctor in the TARDIS.
That's
He really
so interesting.
was, and they repeated a lot more of his stories than others. So,
yeah.
And so Becky, who's a year younger than me, would have seen some of that as well. And sort of my generation knew John Pertwee as the Doctor, I think, more than, like, say, Tom Baker, who you'd think.
Yeah.
Tom Baker sort of had gone away from the role and didn't want to be associated around that time. So it was always John Pertwee. So to my surprise, at the co-op one afternoon, I don't know, I think someone had like a toy TARDIS or something, like the mini keyring or something. And I was on the till and she was on the till, and she went, and someone had a TARDIS, and she looked round and she went, oh my God, it's just like John Pertwee in Carnival of Monsters. I was like, what? With the mini TARDIS and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you know that? So I think her brother had got the DVD or something, and she knew John Pertwee's the Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just took me by surprise that suddenly I was like, one, how do you know John Pertwee's the Doctor? And two, you're referencing cliffhanger 1 of Carnival of Monsters across the co-op to me. It's so funny.
Yeah,
it's so funny. And there's some other Becky stories later on with John Pertwee as well. We'll get to those stories, but yeah, it just always reminds me of that she'd be like, oh, this is like. And actually, can I just tell one other story around this time?
I always love a story.
So she was
Story time
she
with
was
Mark.
kneeling down, putting the crisps and stuff on, right?
Yeah.
And I was on the till. And this customer comes up to her I'll never forget, and went, excuse me, where's your nuts? And she just completely lost it. And I couldn't serve anyone. I was just crying we were just crying with laughter.
Was a customer?
I think they didn't really understand why we were laughing, but
That
they
makes it
genuinely
funnier.
said it.
That
They
makes it
genuinely said
funnier.
it seriously. Where are the nuts?
Nuts.
Where are your nuts? So yeah. Anyway, there we go. Part 2. So yeah, we find out about the miniscope in the zoo. It's a great concept. I mean, I was trying to think. We've talked before about Doctor Who sort of preempting stuff. There's not really anything like there's a zoo, but I could think of was like Tamagotchis.
Well, no, it kind of reminded me though, just of like reality TV.
That's it. That is it.
I mean, we just referenced Celebrity Big Brother.
Yeah, that's it.
But this idea of like, because
Big Brother, yeah,
they're like living. They are real,
but they are real. Or like, I don't know. I've written like, do you remember when you got like sea monkeys or ant farms and all that kind of stuff? Do you have sea monkeys?
I had sea monkeys, and I had one that was proper big, and I
Right.
had so I had a sea monkey aquarium, the plastic thing,
Yeah.
and then I had a watch that you could transfer your sea monkeys into and have out with you for the day.
Oh my God.
So it
that's
had it was like a bubble with so the water would be there. So you'd like, it came with this like squidgy thing. So you like, put it in the water, like squeezed it, and the sea monkey would go up it.
Yeah.
And then, you squeeze it into
your watch.
into the watch. It was just like a plastic top. So the watch had like the time, and then you like put the plastic dome on top, and then the numbers would be really big because it's going through water, and then you see monkeys would be like,
Blimmin' hell.
I know. I thought I was like the coolest thing.
That is very cool.
I thought it was, and to this day I still think that is the coolest thing ever. Like, I remember going to Manchester for the day, shopping with friends with my sea monkey watch on.
Wow.
I'm thinking
I never had
was
anything like
the
that.
dog's bollocks.
I had a Tamagotchi from Chelsea Market.
I had a Tamagotchi too.
And
yeah.
then like, I remember putting my locker.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Because we weren't
I
allowed
didn't have a
them.
Tamagotchi. I had, because, like, you just couldn't get them.
Right. I mean, I never had an official one. I had a market one.
I had a Mickey Mouse one. So mine was a Mickey Mouse one. So mine was a mouse.
Oh, I had a penguin, I think.
And I remember, because the ears on the Mickey Mouse sort of like, your thumb could fit in it.
Ooh.
Like, it not fit in it, but like, it sort of dipped.
Right, that was the
plastic
buttons.
had a
The
dip.
ears were the buttons.
No. Just like the way the plastic was done. So it was really flat, and it had like the screen, and then the circle was like the face, and then it had plastic black ears on top. But the plastic had like a curve in it. I remember like whenever I picked it up, if I put like it fit my thumb.
They should do a range of Doctor Who Tamagotchis. You know, you could look after your drashing.
Your what?
Your drashing.
What's that?
The monsters in the story.
All right.
Look after your drashing, or your Chumbly, or your
take a
your
Chumbly.
Zarby, or whatever.
You can
That'd
have a
be cool.
bark.
Why don't they make Doctor Who Tamagotchi? Yeah, a little bark. I don't know what you feed bark. Stones, I suppose. I don't know. Stones
The
or
way you said that. Stones.
What do you feed bark? Stones or
Fire.
curses?
Have some curses, bark.
Anyway, but just speaking about these things, while we're on this
too much
tangent,
nice words. I'm done.
yeah,
I'm dead.
yeah. While we're on there's another thing that reminded me in the same sort of genre as that. there was these alien eggs was like a trend, right?
Yes, I had one of those, and
Ross-
apparently you put them together and they'd have babies, and it never
that's the thing.
happened.
And that's what I was going to say.
It never,
because
ever
Ross
happened.
had some.
Of course.
And I remember going around and it was like, oh, you have to do this thing and they have babies. And we're like, well, how do you do it? What do you do? And apparently you had to put them in the freezer or something. I remember going in his garage, putting them in the freezer.
Oh, you did
And then we
everything.
waited for a whole day and we're like, where are these alien babies? And like nothing happened.
Nothing
and
ever happened.
Where did that rumour come from
I
that
don't
these
know,
alien
but
eggs
then you
would have
could buy
babies?
them with the babies already in.
Oh.
So, like, later on...
Where did that come from, though?
I
Some
don't know.
urban myth?
It's such an urban myth. And it's not, like... and it's only... Oh, my...
They're
dare
like
I say
squidgy,
it?
eggy. It's like
I
a
just thought that...
squidgy thing.
Yeah, I just thought that, like, I had a bad one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we thought. Ross was like, this doesn't work. What's going on?
Not the
We were
official
like,
one, you know. But no, apparently... None of them did it.
Oh.
Like, it was just some weird rumour. I think it's because maybe their backs, and you'd put the backs together, wouldn't you? Because the backs had that flat bit.
It was just some squidgy lump with like a sort of
And
alien
I had a
baby
grey
shape.
one in green goo in its egg, but it was great and it had really defined like veins on its brain. And I remember thinking like, that means it's going to have a baby soon. And I'd be like, and then I had like a pink one and I was like, they're going to have a baby! And it wouldn't. And then later on, I got another one that had like, you could like open it up and get the little babies out. It came with them already. And I was like, that's not the same though.
No, that's like year 2000 toys.
Oh my gosh. Do you know what? If anything, I'm really glad I've watched this just so we can have this conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's what it all reminded me of, the miniscope. All these different
Did you
things.
have a Furby?
No, I never had a Furby.
I had two.
No.
Actually, I had three. So I had one and it like, I mean, I can't remember what happened, but it was bad. Like it either caught fire. Like, I mean, like something, I had it like a week and something bad happened to it. And I don't remember what it was, but I just remember my dad being like, that is going back. we took it back and they made this massive complaint. And it was a green one. And I wanted another green one. And my mum and dad were like, you're not having another green Furby. So I had a pink one. And then like years later, I saw another green Furby. And I was like, can we get it? So I have two Furbies, but technically I'd had three. But something really bad happened to the first one. It caught fire or something like by itself, like something really bad happened to the point that my parents, and I think we got it from like a motorway station because it was so hard to find.
They were like the must-have thing, weren't they, the Furbies?
And we just saw it at this motorway thing, and like you remember how the motorway stations had like electric shops, you know, like a Dixon's or something in there, and. So they had them and I was like, Furby! Ah! And my parents were like, okay, fine, we'll get one because we know they're really hard to get. And we got it. And then like this really bad thing happened to it. And they were like, look, all we have, like, of course we, and they were like, really, really sorry, really apologise that we will exchange it. We only have these pink ones.
No.
So I had a pink one.
Wow.
And like the batteries are still in that at home. And if you knock it, it still wakes up. Like, that is a long time later.
Yeah,
that thing's
that's
still,
very
That's
good.
like good 20 years on almost.
Yeah.
That thing's still going like, meh.
Well,
Wakey, wakey.
okay, well, we don't have those in the miniscope here. We see an Ogron and a Cyberman, though.
But hang on, so just going back to Furbies.
Okay.
Furbies are coming back.
Are they?
They like, and you can get like long Furbies that are like more toy based than like the electric. But Furbies, like you can buy Furbies again now. Sorry, that's what I want to sound Furbies.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Furbies are back.
I'm gonna send you a picture of a long Furby.
Okay. Anyway, back to Carnival of Monsters. Yeah, you see an Ogron and a Cyberman in there.
Yeah.
And of course, we've got the boat and we've got the Drashings, which we will get to when you remember them.
Yes, I remember them now you've said it.
There's a moment which I thought was quite funny with the Doctor on the boat, because they're going around this time loop thing, and then he has that boxing match. Do you remember that?
Yeah, totally random.
You'll regret it, sir. I think I ought to warn you. I used to box for my school.
I think I ought to warn you that I took lessons from John L. Sullivan himself.
By Jiminy, the old fella's got some pluck.
That was a bit. I mean, I know that this Doctor fights a bit, but he was like, right, let's go and have this.
Yeah,
boxing
he was
thing.
like, bring it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And also, it's a very un-Doctor thing to do.
Yeah, I thought
to
so.
hurt and injure someone. Yeah,
Exactly.
I
I thought that was a
yeah.
bit out of character there.
Well, he wasn't exactly. He wasn't being threatened as such
No,
at that
no,
point.
exactly, yeah.
Later on, you know, there was a gun.
Yeah.
But at that point,
No.
there was no, like, threat.
And Vorg is explaining he can control their behaviour, so he does make them get the guns out or violent and and be violent
I
and
didn't
stuff.
understand it as that.
He was
understood-
twisting the dial, and he was like, I can make them, and that's why they were all like, oh,
I
here, come with
thought that
us.
he
And then he
just
twisted it,
reset
and then he
it.
resets it again
I thought he
afterwards.
just reset
No, I
it.
think he does make them
I
a bit more
see.
violent and aggressive.
I
There's
see.
some nice stuff on that ship, though, on the location, actually filming out on a boat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the boat stuff.
Yeah.
It was different.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than like a set, or I mean, the sets are great.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to have that extra filming stuff. I mean, that sea monster's not amazing.
It reminded me of Poirot.
Yeah.
I could see that as an episode of Poirot. I imagine the Doctor just turned up randomly on an Agatha Christie novel or something.
Well, it is. It's that time. That's
Yeah.
what yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah. So then that's when we find they're inside the machine, and I put, it's like Planet of Giants, so you're going to love it. And then we see at the end of part 2 the Drashings.
Yes.
So the Doctor and Joe get out of one bit, and they go through and all the circuitry and stuff.
Yeah, that was
Great,
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
And then they go out, and they're in this, again, location film, and then you see the Drashings come up. Now, what are your opinions of...
Now, we'd seen
they-
one before because we'd heard it at sea. We'd seen it through the back window.
No, that's a sea monster. That's not a Drashing.
Okay.
They look very similar. These
They
are
do
the
look very similar.
big, teethy... I've got a toy of one, actually. I need to show you
I
that.
thought that was a Drashing. And
Not
because
the
he
boat.
said something
it was like a
like...
sea monster. The Drashings are in their separate thing.
Oh, I see,
They
I
do
see.
come. They break through later on, but that's just supposed to be a random sea
Right.
monster,
Yeah.
just to entertain, I think.
Yeah.
But the Drashings got the teeth and the eyes, and they come up like hand puppets.
I didn't think they were awful, but they weren't wonderful. Like, it made me laugh at you, and the other saw like half of it.
Well, exactly. It's a hand puppet, isn't it? And the Doctor's face, the close-up is like, what am I looking at? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't really have them. They're on film there, and they've got to react to something. They're not. They do look too puppety.
Yeah.
But do you know what? There's something different that we haven't had before. I'd rather have a Drashing than a blobby thing from last week.
I agree.
Like, I mean, the record this season so far is not great on monsters. If we've got those two, I like the idea of them. And apparently, I was watching the making of. They're made out of dog skulls.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Those teeth are like actual like dogs skulls. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That sort of run through me a bit.
Yeah.
Oh well, there we go.
There we are.
That makes them even more sinister in a way.
Yeah.
Because they're quite, like, I remember, looked at it and I was like, that's quite a sinister looking thing. Like, it's very...
It's got a lot of teeth.
It's very graphic.
Yeah, and
Which we've
the noise goes very well
Yeah,
with it.
we haven't had anything that graphic before.
In terms of sort of violent
Yeah. I mean, like, we've had a blobby thing the week before. I think the most violent would be when we had, with Bok, what's he called?
Azal.
Yeah, but we didn't even get Azal. But that was probably, like, you saw his knees. Do you know what I mean?
He's not violent.
But in terms of, like, he was supposed to be, like, this, like, the devil, wasn't he?
Right,
And, like,
okay,
sort of, like, look.
right.
But this felt the most, like, gruesome-y.
Yeah,
like,
I see what you
ooh,
mean.
you
Like,
know.
all the teeth out, we're going to come and bite you sort of thing, rather than,
It felt-
there's a blob chasing me and
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
quarry.
It didn't feel like... It felt like a scary monster.
They're trying to scare with it. Yeah.
Then,
They're
like,
trying to do that.
here's a monster in a costume.
And they
Yeah.
can sort of go through and they eat through anything and they just go through the miniscope and just
Yeah.
follow them around. And they say once they get the scent, they never stop. Sort of. So they're
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
dinosaur-y.
Yeah.
Like that.
They're great.
Velociraptor-y.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Joe's a bit pathetic running through and getting stuck in the swamp or anything. So of course she's going to get stuck. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's a good story for her actually.
It is a good
as well,
story for her.
because she's left that she is separated with the Doctor a bit later on, so she's got to stay on the. No, is he on the ship? Is she on,
No, she
she's
is.
On the, and she's trying to get people to sit, and she's like, "Oh, here we go again with everything," and she's
Yeah. And I also like...
she's back up to being that strong Joe again.
Well, she also, when he was like, you got to think of things lateral, and she was like, oh, and then she like came up with his idea, and it's not exactly what he thought, but I was like, yeah, good for you, Joe.
Yeah, like, and she's got some funny lines as well.
Yeah,
you
I think this
some
was a good story
sarcastic.
for
She's
Joe.
like, oh, but of course she gets stuck and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Which kind of has to.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to happen.
There's the grey people politics, so that carries on in part 3, and whenever it cut back, I was just like, oh, come on, I want to go back to see the Drashings. And then end of part 3, the Doctor comes out of the scope.
Yeah, which
is
is
a nice,
great.
again, Planet of Giants moment. So yeah, I mean, I have enjoyed this one more.
It was,
Then
do you
I
know what?
have.
It's, even up to that point, he comes out and he's like, even with all the politics things going on, I didn't really think of it as politics. It was just sort of this like ongoing dialogue thing. And I quite enjoyed going back to it because it did just break up the constant chase.
And then,
this was just a really fun story.
And when the Doctor and... Oh, what's his name? Hold on.
Paul?
Oh, Paul Daniels. When the Doctor... yeah, okay. When the Doctor and Paul Daniels speak, that's when they do the Carnival speak, because he's like, oh, you're a showman as well. Da-da-da-da, you know.
Oh, I see.
That's where the Carnival speak comes from.
I missed
And then the
that.
Doctor's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a time when I had to go to the door very briefly, so maybe that's when it happened. And also, I didn't realise I was at episode 4 by this point.
And
so,
I understood that the grey people want the Drashings to escape, so that it'll all go wrong, and then the president's proved wrong that there wasn't people and stuff.
Yeah.
So you do have the threat from the Drashings. You do feel like, oh, they're going to come after them. They're going to come through the scope and get out.
Yeah.
Which they do. And I think they eat the grey or kill the grey man, or someone gets killed by...
No, they kill it.
Do they kill it?
Yeah, the Doctor tunes the thing. He tries to use it. It doesn't... I think one maybe does. But they kill it. Paul shoots it, doesn't he?
Paul Daniels.
Paul and Debbie are shooting at it.
Yeah, Paul and Debbie.
And then they go back and finish doing the job for the Doctor to get them through with enough power.
Yeah. I have, as I say, I have enjoyed it more, but it's still not one that I would always go to. I don't know why.
That's fair. I don't know if I'd want to... Again, it'd be a while before I'd want to watch that one again. But I did enjoy it, and I think I'll reference it again.
The Doctor is very good in this.
He is. The Doctor's great in this. The Doctor's like... You can tell, like, he is on form.
Well, it's his 4th year now.
Yeah.
He's really into it.
He's just had the 3 Doctors before, so he's, like, back to being number 1. He's in prime form.
And him and Joe, that's like, this is their 3rd season together now.
Yeah.
So they really have got that relationship. And did you miss any Brigadier or unit people?
No, this story was just fun.
It didn't feel too spacey because you kept going back and forth in history.
If you just want something, do you know what? This is what you'd watch if you're a fan. If you're hungover, right? And you don't really need to think, but you just want something to watch, sit back and enjoy. Or over Christmas, you know, that's this sort of time of like... Or
like a Sunday afternoon one, this one.
It's very much like, you haven't got a lot to go through, haven't to remember or think. It's not... The politics is there, but it's not like intense. Ultimately, 2 are like, we want this to happen, and one's trying to... Like, that's pretty much it. You know, classic sort of thing. But it's just fun.
But the only thing is, you just see those grey people's bald caps all starting to move. But the more it goes on, you can see the crinkles in them. And once you see them, I cannot just take my eyes off them.
Oh, but I love all that. That's kind of the charm of the series, love.
I know, but I just can't.
At this point, I'm like, that's the charm. The bad costumes make it.
What about Debbie's things on her head?
Well, that's what I mean. That's kind of like Earth woman sent to space. Let's make her look really cool and quirky. That's exactly what that was.
And
I don't think they're supposed to even be Earth people. That's the ironic thing. But
no, they are. I think they are.
Oh, but they've given it a different name. Okay, fine.
No, the Tellarians, they call them. It means Earth person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly what an Earth person would wear
it is.
as a first person allowed in space.
Yeah.
And you happen to be an entertainer.
Yeah.
You try to look as cool and quirky. That is exactly...
they're not like the first people in space.
It's every single... No, but they're the first ones invited to that planet.
Right, I see, yeah, I know, but it's in the future, so they're just, I don't know, there's probably a whole planet of Paul Daniels's and Debbie McGee's.
Probably. Most likely.
All dressed like that.
Yeah. Winning things in bets that they shouldn't have, and then going off and being entertainers of the world. And
actually, you could have had this as a Time Lord mission. The miniscope is illegal, and the Time Lords need it out of because it's so dangerous. They could have just done that as well.
But I'm glad they didn't. They this was great. It was just easy and fun. You didn't even need any context.
No, exactly. It's a standalone thing.
Yeah, it was great.
They land and they take off at the end. Nothing else.
Yeah.
No master or anything like that.
No, it's just not needed. It's just, as it is, it's great.
Yeah.
It's fun and silly.
I think the Drashings will do well. Maybe in a Dosker, they might.
We'll find out.
Maybe.
I mean, we've got a whole season to go, so.
Yeah, we'll see what else turns up. But that's good then. Well, there's not much more else to say. I mean, it's when you like them so much, it's more difficult to talk about, isn't it? Because I mean, that's why I end up being negative, because you like these ones so far.
I know, yeah. These two have been so far. Season 10 off to a good start.
Great, good. Well, I will tell you the name of the next story.
Okay.
It is 6 episodes, though.
Okay, in bits.
Come
then.
on, you know. It was
coming.
always going to come back
Yeah.
to a 6.
Yeah.
And it's called Frontier in Space.
Okay,
So,
that sounds exciting.
yeah.
I was going to say, I imagine a ship being a frontier, but I mean, of course, it will be a ship if it's
in space.
space. It'll be a spaceship.
But you want more sort of outer space adventures
Yeah,
like this.
This
similar
was
to Carnival.
perfect. This was
Great.
just such a great, perfect.
Yeah, I
mix.
think people
This
will
was
agree.
a good introduction back to coming back into space.
Yeah.
For the Doctor.
Yeah, and the series has changed a lot, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we're developing as we go on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll find out what happens in Frontier in Space next week. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not even gonna cut this out. At Instagram on Twitter.
Oh my God!
You can follow us at To Watch Who on those ones. And you can also support us on buymeacoffee.com/To Watch Who.
We're on YouTube as well, aren't we?
Oh, and you can watch us or listen to us on YouTube as well. Yeah, of course. Search us on YouTube if you want.
On the tube.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Or your nearest miniscope. We shall be there waving.
Oh God.
Oh, but I think the Drashings are coming. We better go. They're going to break through.
Okay.
But there's one there. No. Okay. See you next week then, if we're not eaten by a Drashing. Bye.